Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another special Comic Art Live conversation with a collector I've known for a very long time. Welcome, everybody, to the show. Oh my gosh, yeah, Matt Moore, congratulations on those pickups you did during Comic Art Live this past weekend. I'm so happy. I got a lot of emails from people that told me with the artworks that they picked up, and very, very jealous. I actually ended up not picking up a darn thing during the show, which is unfortunate. But Maureen picked up a few pieces of art that she had her eye on, and she's very happy about that. My Little Pony art for one, and I don't even know what the other piece was, but just something comical and fun, I'm sure. But hey, I'm not going to leave my guest in the green room any longer. Stephen, no, let's see. I know I was going to butcher it. See, I already did it. Davich, I got it. Let me bring Stephen Davich into the chat. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
You got it. 100%.
I got it.
Perfect. We only went over it like 1 minute ago, but
right.
It was good.
I'm telling you, man. Like I said, I'm still recovering from everything, but I'm close to being 100% after the whole long weekend of everything. So, trying to get back into the groove. I took no days off, but I was glad you were able to do this because I told you, I guess, like you said, maybe you never got the email, but literally you were one of the first people that I shot an email out to when I was looking at doing collector interviews. I never heard back from you, and I just thought, well, maybe he's just busy. He's got better things to do than to hang out with
me.
I
sat there and I've been like, I don't know why. I've looked at the 80 people you've interviewed or so, and I was like, I don't know why he's not picking me.
You're probably not the only one.
Yeah, probably. So if you're watching this and you want to be interviewed, send Bill a message, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's easier that way. Trust me. I've always told everybody that usually it's the people who are sending me messages saying they want to be on the chat because I don't have time to fish around. Typically, when I'm sending out emails asking for interviews, more than half of the people turn me down. They don't want to be on camera, that sort of thing. So or
they don't want their collection known, or
their collections are on CAF, but maybe they don't want to be on a live stream where they're talking about comic art and their best friend's wife is going to see it and share it on the their Facebook street group saying that look Joe's a nerd, he's collecting Silver Surfer art or something like that. I think it's more like that.
Comment. I don't know how you keep something like this hidden. I've been I'm trying to keep this all. My wife's friends come over and I do have some framed on the wall, and they look at them. They're like, "Oh, those are nice prints." Then I get a little upset, but I walk away from it.
Well, that's how it is. There was a collector, Larry Wilson. He had an interview, and Larry, I have owed you a response to your text message on Facebook for at least 45 days. I hate to say it, but he had an interview with a I forget what it was. It was a show like older dad kind of interview type thing, right? And Larry was there as an art collector, and he was talking about his art collection. But the other guy interviewing him, who's a comic book nerd, kept calling them prints. And it's funny, even in a hobby where people should know what original comic art is, they're walking past Artist Alley. Stuart, I'd know Stuart anywhere.
All right.
Hey, you did a really great job coloring that artwork.
Did you do a good job? Mm-hmm. All right. Do you have comic art in your bedroom?
Yes.
We're going to talk about that one later. We've got that we're going to talk about. Yeah. And anything else you want to say to everybody?
I'm a junior artist.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, you've got to show us some of your artwork sometime.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You want to say good night to everybody?
Good night.
All right. Wave. That means you got to go.
Go. I'll make original art to show.
All right.
That sounds great. We might see something before the end of the show if he's allowed to be up till 10:30 or 11.
Well, no, it's 8 o'clock my time.
That's right.
Yeah. So this is he's right into bed after this. So.
All right. Well, another time perhaps.
Yeah. No. Yeah. If you let him, he'd stay up and talk through this whole thing.
But so you get it though. It's just so weird that so many people don't even know that that original art is out there. I guess as collectors, that's how we stumbled into it, and then we're like, holy crap, we can actually buy this, but we knew it wasn't a print. Whereas so many people who are big into collecting comics still just their focus is on prints, and it kind of stops right there.
Yeah. I won't mention a name. I have a friend that collects, and he's gotten his house broken into, I want to say twice, and they leave the art. They don't even look at it.
Wow.
So I mean, imagine. I mean, that's how off the radar some of this stuff is. Is you have this art just right out in the open, and people just walk right past it, and take whatever jewelry or whatever TVs or whatever they ended up taking, which is probably for the best, I guess. I mean, there's a silver lining for you.
Right. Well, you're right. They probably see them and they think they're prints and have no value, or they're at the very least picked up at a Goodwill or God only knows what. But yeah, that's or they're monoprints, as Marcus just texted in the chat.
Well, I don't get to see the chat. Okay.
Sorry, we didn't. I should have told you that. But on the right-hand column, you've probably got it set to private chat because this. Click on comments.
All right, there we go. Oh, there's Steve. There's
Steve
Marcus.
Yeah, everybody hangs out. I mean, there's more chat here than meets the eye. I tell you, yeah. Even who else is in here? Brett, Mr. Easy Go Lucky. All the usuals are here tonight. Rich Danny's, but yeah, it's this is a hangout. This is we do this every Tuesday night. So I'm glad to have you on the show, Steve. So it's been like, I think the last time I saw you, it was probably like the first time I saw you was that it was like a Wizard World in Chicago, but that was
I know it was the first C2E2.
What is that? What it was?
Yep. And we all went out to dinner. Castra.
That's right.
Who's still a really, really good friend of mine, knew you and invited us all out to dinner after the first. I want to say maybe I'm wrong, but I want to say it was the very first C2E2 you came out for, and we all went to Club Lago for dinner, and I sat right across from you, and we talked quite a bit, you and your wife, through the night. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Maureen doesn't get out to cons too often. That's probably like one of the last ones she did, but yeah, Kosser is great, man. He's moved on to more important things in life, like curing cancer and other major challenges. One of these days I'll get him on here too.
You would think that, but I still get messages from him, and they're very Modok centric. You would think all of a sudden that he has better things to do than send me messages about Modok. No, he's still sending me messages about Modok, even though he's doing some important, very important things for the earth, for humanity. Modok's still very important. So the guy has not changed.
What was his opinion on that the TV show that was it on Hulu or something? I didn't get to see it because of whatever channel it was on. But did you see it?
You know what?
Did you see it?
He did message that. I think he was just upset it was canceled. But he didn't. I don't ever remember him really talking about. I watched it because you got to watch. I felt like I had to watch something like that, and it was fine. It had its moments, but for all I kind of can understand why it got canceled.
Well, Modok's not a very top tier kind of character.
You say that, and then now tomorrow I'm going to get a message from Casser. He's going to be mad about that.
Hey, I like Modok. We've if you've seen those few dueling dealer memes that we did, we made Albert Moy into Modok.
Modok, yes.
Modok.
Yep.
I mean, I'm going to make T-shirts of that. 20 collectors would love to have him and show up at a con one day that they know he's going to be at just to torment him.
Sooner or later that Modok he'll show up in some movie or some TV show. I mean, they're just going to run out of characters to be putting in there, so he'll be in there. And I think we got a page to talk about too. So, but
we do. Yeah, we
do.
do.
You can save when you interview Casser, you could save more of the Modok conversation with him.
All right. So hey, on these things we always talk about origin stories and whatnot. It's kind of a starting point for us. So I'm sure you've got an interesting origin story on how you discovered your first piece of original comic book artwork. You're laughing.
Well, it was right out of college, and it was a while before I got any more art. I love Preacher, love Preacher. And I can't remember where I saw it, but Albert Moy was selling Preacher pages. So, but you had to sit. He didn't have pictures, and I can't remember. It must have been in a catalog I picked up or something. So you had to take the issue and count the page, and then send him the money with the page that you would want. And then if you already sold that page, he would just send you anything random after that. was how it
I've never
worked.
heard of anything like that.
Yeah, he was like, if you could pick these 2 pages, but if I don't have that one, I'll send you something else. And they were only $40 a page at the time. I could be messing things up, but it's finally some preacher. And then I got the 2 pages from Albert, and I remember getting one that I wanted, one with Cassidy biting one of the soldiers' neck, and then one which was like origin story of Cassidy, but I don't think I wanted that one. That was one of the best, but it was still fine to have. So I had 2 of those pages. But I always collected, I always collected comic books. I always was into comic books ever since, probably since I was 8 years old, and never stopped collecting them. Pretty much collected comics all the way through, start going to cons and getting signatures and buying older, I'm reading some of the things, so I get a little thrown off. Hi, Rich.
Sorry.
And then from there, I started about 2005. I still had the preacher pages, but I didn't really get much else. A friend of mine, he owns a comic book shop in the city, Challenger. So if you guys ever go shopping in Chicago, it's a great, wonderful comic shop. We started picking up pages and picking up sketches because it was just something fun to do. And that was, something we would pick up. We'd look for, we liked Aztec to Ultimate Man, so we'd find pages of that for $70, or just some things that were more modern at the time. And from that point, I remember, and it was one of the first big pieces I picked up from Berkey was that Miss Marvel with Modok. And that one, I remember was at the time like $600. And I was just going, oh my God. I was like, this is too expensive. Should I get it? Should I get it? And I made friends with Kasser at the time. And I was like, Kasser, should I get it? He goes, without hesitation, you need to get that now. And from this page on started me finding more of a love affair of collecting more of the Marvel Bronze Age art. And I started getting rid of more of the modern stuff I was getting in order to supplement getting more of this stuff, because there was just a goofiness to the Marvel Bronze Age stuff that I loved. I didn't necessarily need, I don't know what, the coolest pages, but I really just like some of the weirder pages, something that made me laugh or reminded me of a kid, or just a little more shocking or silly or stupid. And that's where I started concentrating on my collection.
Yeah, well, this is a fantastic page. It was funny, just a great read, reading her thoughts, how he's no longer repulsive and fearful. I mean, he's still ugly as heck, right? But he's like James Dean all of a sudden, right?
You look at this page and you don't even think it's a Miss Marvel page to me. It's like, oh, it's a Modok page.
Mm-hmm.
And to throw back at Kasser was telling me about this page. He was interviewing Jim Mooney, who did the artwork for it, and was trying to ask him about, what he was thinking of when he drew this page. And then Mooney answered, I don't even remember doing it. So a little background about this one. But yeah, there's it's just so odd and so weird. And I asked my wife if we could put it above the bed in the bedroom, and she said no. So this one just sits out in the hallway.
But it's so romantic.
It is.
Exactly where it belongs.
Everybody looking at this right now is probably in the mood, I would have to say.
Oh man.
And I, one thing I love about getting any pages by Mooney, he used so much blue pencil and as the background, and I just always I've got a couple pages, and you can see it, around Modok's face and everything else that like all the background drawings of it that was kept. I don't know, not a lot of art, there's some, but not a lot. There, Kasser just mentioned it would be over his bed. I'm glad my friends, all the friends are here. Yeah, I just always really, really like the blue lines in the background and how he set up the page. when I get anything by Jim Mooney.
No, it's a beautiful page, and what you just said there was, you're able to ask the artists about, their thoughts on that page, and they don't even remember it. But that's what makes our hobby so fun. I mean, you can actually, as long as the creators are still around, of course, ask them questions about things or buy it directly from them. When I did a panel at MegaCon on Friday, I talked about that, about why collecting original art is so fun and unique, because you actually get to have a relationship with the creator in some way that you just never going to get from buying a comic book. Yeah, you can throw a comic in front of him and ask him to sign it, but it's just not that same experience. I mean, you can literally ask him about that, and you remember that he said he didn't even remember drawing the darn thing, right? I mean, that's fun. I mean, that's one of the coolest things about our hobby is that interaction that we have with them.
I agree with it 100%. I always took it from, the step of you collect comics, you go to the shows, you get stuff signed, you go backwards and get old issues and first appearances. And kind of the final step of anybody collecting is starting to get original comic artwork past, kidnapping somebody or that would be the step after that, but I wouldn't suggest that. But, yeah, it's really the end of collecting for us comic book nerds, as and a lot of things I've collected, I've stopped. I've been like, oh, I did that for 3 or 4 years, or I got that I haven't stopped with the comic art, and I don't see me stopping anytime sooner. Now, the amount I get is slowed down like everybody else's, but every day I'm looking. Every day I'm trying to, I've got a few things in mind that I would like. But most of the time when I find something, I don't even know I'm looking for it. But I don't if I see it and I want it, I don't hesitate. I grab it right away.
The comments tonight. That one by Tyler T, who said he defined Modok as mental organism designed only for kissing.
That's true. That's true.
Modok giving head by Rich Cirillo.
See, I told you. Once they looked at that picture, everybody got in the mood.
Everybody's yes, except for our spouses, though. That's the if your wife would have said it could have hung over the bed, then you knew you could score there, but not. Nah, that's just not gonna work. That's as bad. My wife says I can't hang any artwork on the walls that have a skull in them. So around your house or most other people's houses, it's Modok. She can't hang a Modok artwork on the wall.
Why the skull? Just doesn't like skulls.
I don't know. Okay. Something about death is got, it's a thing for her. She said I can't do it. But I even don't even buy it. If I see an artwork with a skull, I don't even buy it anymore. Like,
okay, the Ghost Rider is completely out of it for it.
Yeah. So all of you Ghost Rider collectors,
no red skull, no Ghost Rider.
You got no competition for me. So speaking about your day-to-day, addiction of going out looking for art. I mean, we had talked a little bit before the show, and you had said something that no one's ever really said to me before about Comic Art Live and your approach to that first moment. For you, it's 10. That's why I didn't click. You were saying 10 a.m. and of course it's 11 a.m. for me on the East Coast. But do you mind sharing like how you start Comic Art Live as a premium member on Saturday morning? I mean, with the way you filter your artwork.
So Bill and I were just chatting 5 minutes before, and I was asking him, how it was going, and then I said, well, I'm relieved I didn't buy anything, but I said, but I go through everything backwards, or what I would think backwards, just to look, to make sure I don't miss anything. And I go from the most, we won't say cheap, but the most inexpensive pages to the most expensive pages as I go through them. Not because I would rather find something for $300, $400, or even $75 that I'm excited about and know I got a pretty good deal, than to grab something for $3,000 or $4,000. God, I don't want to spend that if I don't have to. And sometimes I'm equally as happy with the $300 page if I find the right one. So that's what I was saying. I don't stop at the highest price ones. I go from the bottom and move my way all the way up to the top. But I do look at everything.
Right. But as an approach, you kind of look for a deal, or potentially, because like we were talking, budgets are what they are these days. I'd rather grab a $300 to $500 page too, if I could, and multiples if I were able, if I could find stuff that I wanted to buy, versus those higher price purchases are the ones that they're the agonizing ones. I have the hardest time pulling the trigger on $2,500 purchase, but I just thought that was an interesting approach because nobody has ever said that to me. I default the search on highest price to lowest, no matter what your keyword is. I mean, you can change that, but for me, I just felt like everybody wants to see the best stuff first and work their way down. And you were the first person that said I kind of start from the bottom and work my way up.
No, if I could turn around and see a $400 page that is something I'm looking for or something I would be happy with, those are few and far behind, but they're out there. They still exist. You still get deal. I still pick up pages once in a while I recently picked up a page. It's not on CAF yet for $400, and I'm more than excited about it. But like I said, you have to look, and there's still deals out there. I'm not one of those people that can watch eBay all day and look for people that are mispricing things. But once in a while, I think some people selling art, they know what it's worth, but they're happy. They either want to get rid of it quickly, or they're happy to sell it to somebody that they know is going to love it as much as they did.
Sure. And I can tell you that I'll have more stats on Thursday when I do my CAF update, but I think around 45% of the art that was shown during Comic Art Live was $500 or less. So there was a lot of, moderately lower priced art out there than I think even in years past. And maybe that was because we had a lot more collectors showing this time than in prior times. But I was pleasantly surprised on that. It wasn't, you see a lot of those pieces where people are clearly asking 25, 50%, 100% more than what it probably should be. But there was a lot of affordable artwork in the show. And I think that that's what really helped it out this year, because we definitely set records in the numbers of artwork sold. I think when all is said and done, probably even in the total sales that came out of the show too, but it was the volume. It's like Anthony Snyder. He doesn't sell the highest price stuff, but he always has the most sales every week because he just has a lot of affordable art.
And he helps scratch an itch for some people. Some people can't, spend $1,000 like willy-nilly on something, but they would like to have a piece. They would like to have something even in $100 range, or a sketch or a drawing or whatever else. So you go to CF or Anthony, or go to one of the websites, and you pick something up, and the drug's filled, and then you could wait a couple more months before you get something else. So
right. I talked with Andy Fish, and I'm forgetting his wife's name. They're an artist alley. They've been in the show every year, and this was the first time where they said, like, their Sunday art drop. They just dropped a bunch of art that were mostly just this easy con sketch style stuff, but that they priced between $25 and $100, and they sold all of it.
I'm sure.
But they were just like, we didn't want to. They wanted to see what would happen and would it work, and so. They put some of their higher price stuff, which was more even that was like their $100 to $500 pages, and they sold a lot of that too. But that was their approach to the second day, was just like, we want to put affordable stuff out there because we know people are looking for deals on Sunday, and we figured we would make our stuff the biggest deals of the day, and they sold out of all of it. Oh, Veronica Fish, thank you, Colin. Yep, and Mikhail, thank you both. Again, it's been a long weekend, but yeah, I love those guys because they've supported the show since the beginning, and they've always sold well. That's why they keep coming back, and they didn't have a big presence this time around because they've had other projects going on, but they still managed to get 48 artworks in their booth, and I think they sold over 35, 36 pieces. So it's always
awesome.
Good.
Yeah, like I said, people want to walk away. Nobody's looking through that thing not wanting to get something.
Right.
I'm a little bit more, tunnel vision with what I'm looking for. And it's either I didn't want to spend the money, or I didn't see what exactly I was looking for, but I'm always looking for something.
Rick Welch says he's patiently waiting for the $25 and under dueling dealer show. You're going to be waiting a long time, Rick. Sorry, man. That's probably never going to happen, unfortunately. Although I could probably do one with Anthony. I can't do that with Mike. There's nothing $25 and under with that guy. And Mikhail, Fish did a bunch of commissions. Well, not a bunch. They actually only did, I think, 6 or 7 commissions this time, but I think 2 that were the team commissions. So congrats on getting one of those. That was a rare one this time around. So so 2000. So, well, here's the thing. The one thing you just talked about, the preacher pages, that's like before my time. When did that happen? Because I never, I started collecting in 98 or maybe 99 at the latest, but I don't remember any experiences.
Edison art. What year were those preacher pages? When did they come out about? He'll know. I forget it.
Yeah, he's got the most preacher pages on the site for any collector. But that's just so funny.
Okay, so I graduated college in about 95. So I'm guessing I got them in 96, 97. So it was barely before you got into it. That's my guess.
Okay.
Yep, 97.
97 says that.
But you know how time is starting to work around.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, but I remember I wasn't in college yet, and I think I just moved to Chicago. And like I said, I love Preacher. That was my favorite book. So I wasn't even an art collector. I was a Preacher collector. And when I saw that I could get a page or two from it for $40, I was all over it. I wish I was getting more stuff at the time, but I didn't want comic art. I just wanted something from Preacher.
Right. No, it's the alt. You didn't get the one you wanted, so I'm just going to send you something different. That I think I feel like maybe, like I'm saying, that was a long time ago, but it was something like you could reserve these pages, but if I'm out of it, you can get something else. And I don't even remember how I got in contact with getting these pages, or either that or I miscounted, because you had to sit, because like I said, you couldn't see the pictures. You had to count. It would be like issue 8, page 12. So you get your comic out and you flip it through, and you're hoping. The dark ages of comic art collecting.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. Sorry, everybody, speculating on how we could do a $25 and under show. Yeah, I like the one where, if we all drew the artwork, it could be a $25.
No, maybe Stuart was.
That's where there you go.
There you go.
I like that idea. I like that idea a lot.
He would do it for $1. Then he would be more than thrilled to do that.
All right. Well, I think we've got a show concept here. So then you went to a few shows, picked up some stuff. So you really caught the bug in around 2005 to 2007.
Yeah, that's when, like I said, in 2005, 2007, I was getting more modern stuff. I think around the time Green Lantern was really popular, and I think I got like a Doug Mankey Green Lantern page. And like I said, I wasn't really going backwards and getting too much. I might have had like a Justice Society of America page by, I'm trying to think of like Dale Eaglesham and things like that. It was more of this one looks fun, whatever else. I dropped, $100, $80. They weren't very expensive at the time. And then, like I said, I think one of the gateway pages was that Modok page where I spent a lot of money on it. And then on top of it, then you post, this is what happens. This is where you're at fault. Then you post that page. You got all your Dale Eagleshams and Mankey, which are wonderful artists. They're all great or whatever else. But then you post something like that Modok page, and all of a sudden you get like 12, 13, 15. I think that one got up to 20 some comments when I posted it. And then you're like, oh, people like this. What can I get next? What can I get next? Steve Crozier and I came up with a system, and he wanted me to make sure that I bring this up. So if you buy, this was the thing. It would say if you bought a $500 page, you better at least get 5 comments, because each comment is worth $100. So that's how there was a math to it. Mm-hmm. So then we would sit down, and if you bought like a $1,000 page and you only got 8 comments, then you would get an email from Steve saying you wasted your money. and
was there a time limit on getting the comment?
The page you bought is crap. So that's kind of like our relationship we would have. There's a lot of ribbing each other back and forth with that thing. But yeah, there's definitely, there it goes, the CAF price to comment ratio. So I bet you didn't know about the CAF.
I had no idea there was anything like that out there. But did you have a time limit? Did it have to happen the first 24 hours, first 12 hours?
Oh, I think it's got to be 24 hours.
You gotta wait.
You know what? It's probably as long as it stays in the top amount. You know, if it disappears from the list, the 24-hour list, or the week list, or the month list, then it's gone. But you can't build it up over time. I would say it has to be within that either 24 hours to 1 month period. But I mean, if it stays up in the 1 month, you saved your money.
Colin asks, can you bank comments from a lower price piece? Yeah, there's a strategy here. You know, you probably started figuring out like what time of the day was the best time to post so you could get the most bang for your buck. Because you didn't want to be the guy, but between you and Crow, you didn't want to be the guy that who didn't get a good deal, right? You overpaid.
Right. Oh yeah, and that would, you know, and with us, and there's a couple other guys that we talked to that we email back and forth. We don't hesitate to let each other know that you overpaid, or you know, you got swindled. So that, you know, it's good to have buddies like that, so that when you know that you spent an awful lot of money on a page, they will rub it in that you did spend too much money on a page.
Kazra says some comments are worth more than others. Comments from Crow are worthless.
You know, well, that was another thing is they're like certain ones, like if you got a baller, that was sometimes worth 200.
First, right? If he's first, you might be worth 500. If he's
it depends who was commenting, and yeah, some people commenting it was worthless because they just comment on everything. This was before you, Marcus. Just so you know, all your comments are golden, buddy.
They are, especially when he writes a song.
I like how I had to shout that like Marcus was somewhere far away, so I had to, you know, yell real loud for him to hear that. Yeah, that's it. Richard says I judge the quality of my art buys on how long it takes Marcus to comment on them.
But yeah, Marcus does say he tries to take time off on weekends, though, so he can't be there all the time.
No, I don't try to post on weekends either, so that's for the best.
I don't comment enough. I hate to say it. I look at art on the site all day long, but I literally don't get the chance to post comments. Or okay, do I not get the chance? I should be doing it because I'm there, and I'm like probably one of the worst people out there posting comments. I know comments are they are like the lifeblood of CAF. Like you just said, it's like that the piece that you posted with Modok got all those comments, and you're like, how do I top that? Or how do I get the same experience on the next piece that I'm going to have out there? And so I kind of regret the fact that I'm not one of the bigger commenters on the site, but I'm lucky if I get maybe 5 comments in there in a month.
I'm not great at it either. If I leave a comment, I kind of want it to be worthwhile, not like just say great page. So, and then by the time, you know, I get around to it, it's either gone or I've forgotten or whatever else. But I should comment more also. I really should. Because I'm like everybody commenting, and like everybody looks at everything all day long. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more disappointing than posting something that you're really excited about, and you turn around in 24 hours, there's like 2 comments on it.
Right.
And one of them is because somebody hit the button twice, and it's just so. But you keep that on there. You keep the repeat one on there because it counts.
Exactly. I know. Well, and so do replies. So there's. People can game the system a little bit. And I had Fish email me. You know, one of the things I've always wanted to fix on the site was the people who like double click. You know, they click once and they think it's not going, and then they click it again, and then they click it again. Sometimes you get 3 comments on there. And since we've never provided a means for a person to edit or delete their comments, which is kind of stupid, I think at the end of the day, we should have that in there. It ends up looking a little silly in the stats. So one of these days, that needs to be something we fix. I never wanted people to be able to change a comment because I always felt, or edit a comment, because I thought like they could mess up the conversation, right? If they could go in and like take a sentence out that they regretted or something, you know what I mean? And because then like somebody might comment to that, and then you won't know what the heck they're talking about. So I just said, well, screw it. Nobody can ever delete or edit their comments at all because I don't want the conversation to change. But I look at it now and I realize I probably could make it a little bit better.
No, Bill, you got to let us have those double comments. We keep those in there. They count.
They all count.
They count. That might get you that one extra comment might get you into the 7-week mark.
All right. Then we're going to leave it in there, at least for now.
All right.
I thought that was funny though. Where was that comment from Hart? Because when I said I rarely comment, he said that a comment from me is worth 1,000 points because they're hard to get. That is very true. So you know what? We could look at some artwork while we're rambling here. Let me see. The Modok piece was actually the first one I had queued up. But I want to show this image of you and Stuart just one more time because you told me this was your concept for the show thumbnail. And most people just send me a picture in a booth. That's really all I ever asked for. when you were like, we're going to color some of my art collection, this is the best. This one's going down in history as my favorite show thumbnail ever. And you got Skippy on the table too.
Yeah, we were making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, coloring some pages. I burnt that Sienkiewicz piece a little bit, but that's all right. I was able to put that out a little bit. Yeah, I thought it turned out pretty good, actually. And Stuart and I sat down all morning long coloring those in. He had his own ideas about what colors should be certain things and whatever else. But I was happy that I made Moon Knight pink. You could see through it a little bit, but I thought Moon Knight with pink looked pretty good.
I was going to ask you why you chose pink for Moon Knight.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody ever colors Moon Knight in pink, so
you were making it really rare.
Yep.
Marcus says restoration time. Oh man, but yeah, I just laugh my ass off because like I told you, I look forward to the Stuart comments and posts that you do on Facebook. They brighten my day every time you make one. Stuart must be a bundle of joy to have around, and
he's a pretty interesting, clever kid to be. Yeah, pretty proud of him.
Oh heck yeah! So let's see here. This isn't more of a comical page, but it's a pretty darn cool page here from Power Man and Iron Fist. I love a good title page.
This is it was up on CAF before I was ever there, and it was definitely one that I would always keep coming back to. It would be one of those pages that whenever maybe once a month I would log in, I would just look at it, and I was like, and it didn't really matter to me that it was a Power Man and Iron Fist page. Like it's nice that they're in the background. It's just a cool, and it's not funny, but it's pretty weird. It almost has like a tattoo kind of feel to it. Something does. Somebody would have on their back. Maybe that would be a good idea for some people commenting. I think that would look good. And yeah, it was just something that I would keep coming back to, and I finally made an offer on it, and it was a good offer, and I was able to get the page.
So was it for sale? I mean, they had
a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff I get is I beg and I bother people, and I pick and I pick and I pick until they get sick of me, and then they end up selling the page.
I've never heard that style of coercion work too often, but it's worked well for you.
There's sometimes I cry.
You break down.
Yeah, I break down and cry. I'm going to need. I lie. There's times I lie about how long I have to live, but yeah, it's once in a while you sit there and you'll send an email and they'll say no, and then maybe a year later, how about now? And really, this was one of those pages, and finally I was able to get it. I'll have to say too that I love a page that has space in the background, and I mean outer space with planets, and it's completely black and completely inked. And this is one of them. I'm sure it's one of the things that draws me to it. And I really like Kerry Gamble too. Looking at this page, it's a wonder he didn't hit the same height, I would say, as Byrne and Perez did. I mean, they're very similar in style, and everything, but you just never got as popular as those two.
Yeah, this page is, I mean, it's stunning. The ink work is just amazing.
Well, that's what carries it too. Villamonte, if I'm pronouncing it right, he's one of those inkers you don't see too often. But when he does inks, he's taking over it, and he transforms the pencils into something very special.
No, so this is, I could look at this all day. And if it was a tramp stamp, I mean, Maureen could look at it all day. I guess. But yeah, man, this is great. But so there you were. It was a piece that wasn't actually offered for sale, and you kind of just asked and cried, and you got it. That's amazing. About what year did you pick that up?
Ooh, I'm saying it's got to be at the 7-year mark at this point.
Oh wow. I'd say it's worth a little bit more than you paid for it probably by then.
It's kind of one of those things is at the time you overpay. Mm-hmm. In order to get it, I overpaid for it. But I loved it. I've loved that page since I joined CAF. And I probably overpaid for it. And I was probably like, oh, this, I shouldn't have done that. I'll have to pay my credit card off on it, whatever else. But in the end, it ended up being very, very much worth it. One day we'll all turn around and be like, all the prices are plateaued. Hopefully we don't, that's a whole other conversation, but it still seems you overpay now, 5 years from now, you didn't. So it's just one of those things. Mm-hmm. My buddy, Rob, who I think you met Rob very recently. Mm-hmm. He said he was at your house. I ain't going to use his last name. He told me if there's something you really want, pay for it. Pay the money for it. You won't regret it later. And I've taken his advice a couple times, and it's worked out for me.
Yep. Nick Barucci said the same thing. Overpaying today is a steal tomorrow.
Yep. Nick's right.
Yeah, it is very true. I mean, yeah, and even today, you kind of worry about that where the prices are at. But it'll be very interesting to see the next Heritage Signature auction. Honestly, I'm really curious to see how that one goes. Now that there's so much fear out there with interest rates and the stock market and everybody's 401ks taking a hit, if that auction does better than the last one, which was pretty incredible, then I think it's safe to say that we're not going to see a major hit, in the at least on the art collectible side of things. So, but for me, that's going to be the tell is what happens.
I don't think. I mean, personally, unless there's something I don't know, I don't see it getting better. I mean, maybe it won't get better, but I bet you it stays even. That's my guess.
Mm-hmm. Nope. That's what I'm thinking too. I mean, I'm just not seeing any lack of interest. I mean, I would have thought with Comic Art Live, with cons coming back and everything, we would have seen a downturn in sales and less interest in selling because there's so many other alternatives out there. And I didn't see any of that. And the sales were still strong. I mean, we didn't have the 6-figure art sales in there that, because nobody brought any pieces that large. Well, somebody did, but it was still interesting to see that everything's still pretty stable. So anyway, why don't we look at some more artwork? We got some good art to check out here. What was the next one? Oh yeah, Paul Smith. You just did this to rub it in.
Oh, 100%. That was exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I know you want this. Mm-hmm. Let's just stare at it for a while.
Exactly. I mean, I love, anything from Paul Smith has been on my list forever. Gary Land always outbid me in my early days of collecting, to the point where I just gave up trying to get a piece of Paul Smith art from eBay. I mean, it was so frustrating. I could have killed that guy.
Gary has that way about him.
He does. But yeah, it's and I love the Morlocks as a storyline. I mean, I loved his work, Paul Smith's work on the Brood, stories too. But this was probably like my favorite. Bringing in Callisto and those sorts of things. I just thought the X-Men's all about, like, it's not always about the giant supervillains that are out there that are their problems. It's living islands and goofy things like that. So as a antagonist in a storyline, I just loved the whole concept that these stories took, and Kitty's role and all that. And so this was just, when I saw this page in your collection, when you got it, I was like, daggone it, man. I'm never going to own a Paul Smith.
I got it directly off of Paul's website.
You did not.
I swear to God. I got it directly. He had this page and one newer. Rich, tell Bill you got this for under $100. So I got it right from his website. And what's something special about this page is it's one of the few pages that Paul both penciled and inked.
Man.
And it was at the time overpriced, but not now. But I'm very, very this will be one of the last page, I'm not trying to be mean, but probably one of the last pages I'd ever get rid of. It's just, I like looking at it. I like the symmetry of it, where you've got the big panel in the front going all the way to the small panel, and then you go to the bottom of the page, and then you've got the small panel going all the way to the larger one, and how that balances each other out. You've got more of a violent page where Colossus is being overpowered into the dark, and then Kitty waking up from the dark. It's just all around he must have really liked this page and held on to it for a while. No collectors ever owned this one but me. So yeah, I got it directly from him maybe about 6 years ago.
I hate you. That's just terrible.
I'll take it. I mean, I love the page, but let's be honest. I put it up here so I could make you look at it one more time.
Oh, you're killing me. That's and that story. I mean, who would have thought that he would have held on to something that long, right?
I'm sure at the time people were like, "What else does he have?" Mm-hmm. And I'm sure once a artist like that releases something like that, it's definitely a monkey pile of people trying to figure out what else he's got or emailing him or anything else. I think Paul's an interesting guy. I love that he's still just doing $200 pieces. That if you click fast enough, you just get them. He just randomly puts them up on his website, and they're all great. I would love to, my favorite of his is the way he does Nightcrawler. But I didn't get the option to get a Nightcrawler. But I think he's probably my favorite Nightcrawler artist, and Nightcrawler is one of my favorite characters.
I'm sorry, I'm just still thinking about how much I don't like you right now. Okay, that's harsh. But the thing is, I love his work. I mean, I didn't get a chance to search Comic Art Live early on, and there was one of his figure sketches with Kitty and Lockheed. I would have picked that. It was $400. I mean, that was a steal. I would have bought that in a heartbeat, but I didn't have the chance to look around. So I'm always on the lookout, but I've never really. I'm either late to the party, or some of the pieces I've seen I'm not too fond of, but it's got to be the right character. I'd love a Nightcrawler. I think he drew Storm. I thought Storm was in a very unique way for him. Kitty, of course, as well. But yeah, I'd take any of those characters. I'd take a Brood. If you drew a Brood, I'd buy it.
Yeah, well, I got a feeling you and I were heavy into the comics like around the same time. 85, 86, 87. That was probably where your wheelhouse was.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, right? Yeah, same as me.
Well, I will be forever jealous. But you can put a Post-it note on there for just to remind yourself that when it is your last piece of art and you need to sell it, you can reach out to me first.
I'll put Post-it notes on everything in the house if I pass away, and then that way my wife knows who these go to.
Well, that's a whole other conversation, estate planning too. But one of these days I should talk a lot about that because you look at our collections these days. I mean, man, they are pretty valuable. You got to make sure that you've got a plan for that. If something ever did happen, right? I mean, I've never even talked with Maureen about that in my art collection. Maybe I once told her, talk with Mike. He'll get the highest dollar. I actually do think I told her that once. If anything happened to me, talk to Mike. He'll set you up with whatever artwork I've got.
I've got a plan, and I told Kelly. I said, you know what? Take all the art. Ask so and so about it. Give them one page of their choice. or whatever, a page, and then let them deal with it. They'll figure it out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of people, that would be enough. But like, I get to pick a page. I'll whatever you need, you know.
Right. Heck yeah.
So you know, if you that's how you could get that Paul Smith page, maybe. Then you could just ask Mike where to get rid of the rest.
Oh man. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat a little bit. But well, let's look at we looked at this one before the show started. So let's talk about that one right now, because this is a Berkey pickup. You told me.
Yes. Yeah, I wish I honestly I took my phone away so I wouldn't look at my phone while you were talking to me, because that would be rude. And like I said, I want to say 4 years ago, I got this one. This is just something that like these Spider-Man issues from when I was a kid just resonate with me so much. Romita Jr. and Ron Friend's artwork. And these were the comics that I was going to, if you're from Chicago area, Walgreens to pick up once a month. And I would go every week to see if there was a new issue, because I didn't quite understand that they were coming out once a month at the time. But from around this point on until I was maybe 40, 42 years old, I never stopped getting Spider-Man. Issue to issue to issue, and this is one of the storylines that I just love so much. Another, I think Mooney's going to come out quite a bit. Mooney inked this one probably to give it more of a feel of Romita Sr. And I want to, when I got it, the head was a little messed up. I got it fixed by Gordon Chrisman. You could see he fixed the head and whatever else. It was just kind of glue stained, oddly. So he cleaned that up a bit for me. And I'm almost guessing it looked like Junior might have drew it, and then maybe Senior actually did a new head for him. But I could be wrong. But it was definitely a new pasted head on top of Spidey. Underneath it is a different face.
Huh. That's interesting. So had you worked with Gordon Chrisman before that?
No, I didn't. But he was recommended to me, and I super recommend Gordon Chrisman. He did a great work. He took it step by step. He was real honest and open about what he was going to charge me, which, to be honest, was a fraction from some of the other people that charge. And I think he did a tremendous job cleaning it up and getting it all redone for me. So, yeah, I couldn't be happier with Gordon. To be honest, he was such a nice guy. I wish I had more stuff to send him. I just didn't. So I think you can find him on Facebook. You can just messenger him, and he could take care of that, of anything you would need, and probably a lot cheaper than some other people.
Yeah, I think I've actually got his contact information on a forum post, because I always get asked, like, I don't know, every other month about restoration and whom to contact. So I had a short list of people there, but I've always heard good things about Gordon, that he does a great job, and he's affordable. And I know he's the go-to guy for several dealers when they need work done.
Yeah, I think he did a tremendous job. And, and another thing, what attracted me to this page, it might not be, Green Goblin or Vulture on there, but I really like Hyde and Cobra. I like those oddball villains. So whenever I don't necessarily need top tier characters all the time. I love Spider-Man, of course, but him fighting those two goofballs makes me even happier than maybe even having Sandman on the page.
Mm-hmm. No, this is a winner. This is like this is like your. As much as I love the Paul Smith page, I mean, as far as a piece in my collection, I mean, this would be that, that this is like a grail level piece, because, again, I'm back to, I love title pages, and this one is just so, I mean, it's so amazing. I mean, it's the way the characters are drawn, the postures, the cityscape behind it. I mean, and even the bricks. It's like, I love the way this thing is rendered in the detail, kind of like, doing the perspective. It's just so well done, man.
Yeah, this one makes I guess it just has it all. It has nostalgia to me. It has a top artist. What could top these villains? Maybe Leapfrog. You're not kidding, Rich. Leapfrog's awesome. Stiltman, he's
Stiltman.
yeah. So yeah, this was, and if you look, like when I was looking to get one of these pages, Mike didn't have this on the site, and I was asking him if he had what pages he had from the 80s, and he's like, well, what are you looking for? So I was looking for title pages, and if you look through, I looked almost through several years of title pages for Amazing Spider-Man. There's so many of them that have him backwards, with like going into things rather than like something like this. So I was pretty thrilled that I was able to get what I would say from the 80s, one of the better title pages from Amazing Spider-Man.
No, that's a good get. So he didn't even have it on his site. You were just kind of cold calling.
Yep.
Which you might have. Yeah, Berkey's a good one for that, because he has so much art. He knows that he has it. He might not know where it is, but
could you imagine sitting there? I've had that too. Or somebody will be on Facebook and he's like, look what I found in my closet. Like, how do you forget what artwork you have? That's crazy to me.
I agree. I mean, I don't know how that's possible. There was it's just casual stuff. I was scrolling through Facebook a couple hours ago, and somebody's like, they found this great Mark Schultz piece that they picked up at San Diego 10 years ago, and they're like, I forgot I had it. It's in a whatever. I'm like,
I don't forget.
How does that happen? I don't have that much art that I can't forget something that I have, or I'm going to lose it and then find it, between a couple comic books or something like that.
Yeah, it's not like $5 you left in the pocket of an old coat or something.
Right. Because Mark Schultz, I've always liked the guy's artwork. I see him at San Diego all the time, but for me, it's like he was always a little out of reach for me. Like if I saw a really nice illustration, it'd be $500, and I'm like, it's not a published piece, So I'm like, so I wouldn't buy it. I like his work. So and this is the pencil piece this guy had was easily whatever, a $500 or $600 piece of artwork. And he acted like he just rediscovered it after 10 years. I don't get it.
Must be not. Yeah, but I think they're just making that shit up, to be honest with you.
It just sounds good.
It just look what I'm going to do that one day and just post something that I got and been like, hey, I found this in my crawl space.
I don't remember buying it, but there it was. I'm sure it happens to some guys, but but Berkey, he's one that's
I believe it when he says he'll be like, let me see if I have that. That's where he's got so much art but I believe him.
Mm-hmm. No, he does. I mean, I'm jonesing. I've been down here in Florida for the last 2.5 weeks, so I haven't been able to go over there and comb through some of the bins that he's got at his place. So I'm gonna have to put the bin dives. Yeah, that's going to be high on my list when I get back to Ohio in a week, just to set up an appointment with him. I always find something, but I'll hold it up to him. He's like, oh yeah, I bought that 5 years ago. I'm not ready to put it on the site yet.
Not ready. I gotta warm up to it.
Yeah, they got a season. They need a season he doesn't use that word, but he's like, that's what he says. He's like, they haven't been forgotten long enough, or whatever. I can't remember what his quote is. Whenever I show him something, I'm like, this would be great for dueling dealers. You got to put it on the show. Put it back. Put it right back where you found it.
Marinate. Something that's been sold over and over again. We call that dead art or cold art for a while. Mm-hmm. And some things, after they disappear for several years, then it's back again. But if you see art being like traded over and over and sold, you start going, what's wrong with that?
Right.
I don't want to date that art. That art has dated everybody.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
Yeah.
Well, it is a relationship we have with each piece too.
Yep.
That's a funny way to think of it. I don't think I've ever said date, but
it's funnier.
But no, it is funnier. But it makes a lot of sense though, because we do have a special relationship with most artwork that we buy at the end of the day. I mean, some of them we're buying just to take out for the night, and we know we're gonna trade them in for a better model later on. And others, we're just hoping they like us as much as we like them.
Oh, the comments are going to be painful. I got a feeling real soon. Things are going to get blue.
Yeah, that art is a slut. So that OA is loose, says Rich Danny's. Oh boy. I love it. I knew I was gonna have a good time chatting with you tonight, Steve. Where I don't even know where I want to go with from here, but yeah, Mike is an oddball with all that stuff for sure. But it's worked well for him as a business model.
Yeah, nobody can say that he's made the wrong moves.
No, no. So all right, but so there you go. I mean, it's one of those things. It's funny when because I hang out with Mike a lot, and while I'm there, literally, I'd probably say every time I go there, if I'm there for a couple hours, he'll at least get 2 or 3 calls from people that are just asking him, "You get anything in new? What do you got?" And these and big collectors, not just like these are I'm like, "Who was that?" And he'll tell me. I'm like, "Really? That they just cold call you all the time?" And they're like, he's like, whatever. They asked me if I got any new covers in the last week, and so yeah, that's part of the game, right? At the end of the day, is you kind of gotta work all your angles that you can. So,
and that's true. Is I dedicate a good amount of time, but not like some people. I mean, some people, they've got their real job, and when they go home, they're scouring to find new art and whatever they do. I just don't have that time to devote, but those are the guys that come out with the new stuff, and they'll see it on CAF. I'm like, how did you get this page? Where did this come from? Or whatever else. They put the work into it, and you put the work into it, you deserve what you get.
Right. Yeah. The guys who have the misspelled artist names over on eBay and you name it. I saw Bob McLeod spelled wrong for the first time. It was actually, they had it spelled McCloud, and I was like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, nobody's going to, if anybody's searching for Bob's work, they're not going to find that. So,
No.
so it happens a lot. Not that Bob McLeod would be an artist name that you'd be putting in your.
Hey, you'd be looking for early New Mutants pages.
They're okay. There you go. All right, well, let's look at some more artwork here. What do we got? This is I love this page, man.
I do too.
You got every single character on there. Just everybody's fighting. Some of them are getting their butts whipped. Some of them are whipping butt. But man, I don't.
It's not even Bob Brown. That's who Bob Brown did this one, and it's not even that well drawn, really. If you're looking at it or whatever else, it's fine. But man, as a kid, this is the page you would sit down and just stare at and wonder what they're doing or how each fight is going. And even better yet, maybe there's an off chance you don't know who Adam Warlock is when you're looking at this page when you're 12 years old. And you're just imagining, who's that character? What does that character do? When I was a kid, I didn't read this issue as a kid, but I wouldn't have known who Warlock was and or even Thanos when I was reading this. But looking at it now as having it as now this one just makes me feel like a kid when I look at it. Like I said, it's not the best drawn or anything else, but it's a damn lot of fun.
Look at that! You got Ghost Rider, you got Man Thing, you got Kazar, Power Man. He's saying "Sweet Sister" for crying out loud. Look at that! Doom. He's on the ropes, but he is not going to let his kingdom collapse. It's just such a fun page. I mean, with all these heroes and villains, confronting whatever this challenge was. I mean, you're right. This is one of those things that as a kid, you're like, you probably didn't collect half of the books or whatever that might have been out there for these other characters, but Marvel was good at that. That was, and look at those panels too, being the second and third row, everything's the same size. I mean, it's an odd layout, but it works really well.
This is when Stuart came to visit, this is the one page I let him look through all the artwork, and I think it says something. This is the page he picked that is in his bedroom and framed on his wall.
Oh, wow.
So out of all the things, he doesn't care, if it was a Ditko page or a Kirby page. He cares that it's got a lot of cool characters doing a lot of cool stuff on the page, and that's what he was all about.
Well, Ruben says he loves a man who can admit when the art isn't very well drawn.
Ruben, I love you too, and that was a nice way to say it. And we finally got that out in the open now.
Oh man, but that's just it. Again, for us as collectors, it doesn't always have to be the best executed piece, right? I mean, because it is story. It is about the characters, and this is such a rare piece of art, where else would you get all these characters on the same page? I mean, even in like Contest of Champions, all these characters were probably not on the same page, right? Or and Anthony was showing me this weird, God, what was it from? It was a page from, it was before we had our panel on Sunday, and gosh, what character was it? But it was like the last final issue, probably like the second to last page of the book. And the character was talking about being canceled, as his book being canceled. And he was talking to other characters in the Marvel universe whose books had been canceled. And every panel you were seeing, like, the old Ghost Rider or gosh, I can't even remember. It was just, but it was hilarious. And I'm like, Anthony, if you were going to sell it, I'd buy it in a heartbeat, because that is the most outrageous page I've ever seen, And I think it was a Kazar book, now that I'm thinking of it.
I know Anthony, I've talked to him before. He liked Defender stuff too, so it might have been one of those weirder Defender book too, but I don't know. Yeah,
but it was just, but you know what I mean though. But it's just so offbeat. It wasn't well drawn. But I was looking at him like, I would kill to own that. But I said, you shouldn't sell it. That's like one of the coolest pages I've seen in a long time, just because it's so bizarre. And he's like, oh, I'll think about it. I don't know. And I, like, if you sell it, you got to sell it to me, because
right. That's the kind of page I would want too, to be honest with you. It's just something off and something a little bit more interesting. And like this thing, I love that Man Thing's on there, and Adam Warlock. Then Plenty of was pretty crappy, but still, that's all that matters. And then thanks, Ruben. And then that's just what draws me to it. I love just those oddball Bronze Age characters that you don't see pop up anymore like they used to, or the Marvel was really trying to push these characters into the mainstream, and it just never happened.
Right, that's the Inhumans in the third panel too, right? Yeah.
Well, what's funny is, if I'm reading the markings right, is they went and drew Invisible Woman in the first panel, but she must not have been with the Fantastic Four at the time. So they had to redraw her as Medusa, but she still has an invisible bubble over her.
I was kind of curious about that one. Use Medusa, not that's funny. Well, continuity is important.
Well, it was a lot more important then than it is now. I can tell you that.
Oh, there you go. Just so we can, RG says it was Kazar 34. So there you go. That was the book or the page that Anthony was showing me. It wasn't anything special, but man, it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. But they're looking at that. I mean, people always talk about what made Marvel so successful, and it was their continuity. Early on. I mean, I was having dinner. I was lucky enough to have dinner with Jim Shooter last Wednesday, and that's awesome. We were talking about the early days in Marvel, and he said what made us better than DC was the fact that we had our continuity. We from story to story, from book to book, we kind of kept everything together, and it helped our sales, because we would tie certain things together, but we kept things consistent. And we really felt that that continuity was what was one of our strongest points as far as marketing the books and the titles and everything. And I never thought about that, but I was like, yeah, that's probably true. But so you look at something like that, they were like, we got to get Miss Marvel, got to get the Invisible Girl out of there because she was doing something else in the FF book.
Well, and I mean, how, even reading as a kid, you would read an issue that was, say, a Fantastic Four, and then all of a sudden in 2 panels, you would see Daredevil go by. And then the little blurb would be like, where's Daredevil heading? Make sure you check out this issue of Daredevil to see what he's doing. And I love that. I love those little things they would add, and it'd make you want to go grab Daredevil or whatever else. But that was all part of the continuity. So, but yeah, definitely. I think Fantastic Four did a lot, or I read too much Fantastic Four, but you would always see a different character kind of going by and doing something through the skyline.
Lots of funny comments going on there. I agree. I agree that they had a great, they had a really good approach to their storytelling. And yeah, Jim Shooter that was one of the most fun conversations I've probably had in comics. I even told him, I'm like, I've got to get you on the show sometime. Will you do it? And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. So he hopefully August, September, I'll have him on. But he was like nonstop. He could keep you could just name an artist and he would tell you, he'd have 10 anecdotal things to talk about that artist. Well, good or bad.
He was a fan first. you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really tell some of the writers and artists and people in the industry that they are fans first. And I don't think the guy has ever stopped loving comics.
No, you could tell. I mean, he got choked up a couple times just talking about different things, and his love of the creators and everything. And he talked at length about Steve Ditko and how he got Steve some work after just seeing him in a out to eat one day. He's like, he knew it was him, introduced himself. He's like, if you ever want to do any work, if you ever need it to do any work, talk to me. And he said he saw him that took like 3 times of seeing him randomly over a course of a year or something, where he finally convinced him. Like one day he came to the Marvel offices, and the receptionist didn't even know who he was, and like they call up Jim, and he's like, Jim, there's somebody named Steve Ditko that wants to see you, and he's like, I ran to the office, to the front of the reception area, and welcomed him, brought him in. We talked. He didn't take anything. He didn't want to do anything. But he's like, next time he walked to the receptionist and said, if this guy ever comes in, you treat him like royalty. He is one of the most important people in comics. And but this is after Steve hadn't been working for a few years. And so Jim finally, after a couple visits to the Marvel offices, Steve was willing to pick up a job. And then he got him some work, and even moving him over to other publishing endeavors that Jim did. So yeah, Jim cared a lot about comics and a lot about Marvel comics, especially. But talking about that was just amazing to hear that that he had that reverence to the earlier creators, and he wanted to take care of them as best he could. I mean, he talked a lot about other things as well, but Ditko, the story I thought was really touching, and so it was important to him. And but Steve he had said Steve really had stepped away because he was just tired of the whole business side of things and didn't want to have anything to do with it. But took him a while to trust Jim, and then he got some work out of him. So
yeah, some fun stuff too. He did some He did some ROM issues around that time, if I'm not mistaken, and then started doing Speedball and.
I have always wanted to get
Squirrel Girl
ROM page. And Squirrel Girl. Yes, I even did some Indiana Jones too. I think I wouldn't mind even getting a page. I have never owned a Ditko page, and I have a feeling
that's coming up.
I know that's coming up. Okay. Yeah, you have a way of just jabbing me.
Well, I don't know exactly. I know you like Paul Smith. The rest of it, I have no idea.
All right. Well, the Ditko.
So I'll take responsibility for one.
Ditko's tough. I mean, even with Berkey, I mean, I don't think in any bin dive I've never come across a single piece of Ditko art, and I just can't believe it. I feel like I should stumble on something, because honestly, whatever it would be, I would take it. It doesn't have to be Marvel. It doesn't have to be Marvel at all. I'd take a DC piece of art or something. I would take anything by Steve Ditko, and even he doesn't have anything. Everybody wants a good example of Ditko, or an example, right? All right, well, let's take a look here at the piece that you colored pink.
This is there was no way this one wasn't going to be in the list of pages that I wanted to show. Very proud of owning this piece. Love Bill Sienkiewicz. And to me, it's really, really historical. I think Bill made his mark by Moon Knight more than before going into New Mutants. This was more of his. You can still see it's a little sketchy, but still more of his Neil Adams phase of artwork that he was doing. A CAF member had this one, and yet again, I asked him if he was willing to sell it. And this was the first time that I went back and forth with him, and he'd say maybe I'd be wanting to sell it. I don't know. And then I'd send him another message and be like, here, this is what I'm going to offer. And he's like, I don't know. And then we'd go back and forth, and I'd offer a little bit more. And then he's like, let me think about it. And to be honest, Bill, it got to the point, I'll never forget it, that he called me on the phone. And I left my apartment. I was living in an apartment at the time, and walked around the neighborhood talking to him about comic books and comic book art. And he wanted to make sure that I was a good enough person to be able to own this art. And once I got the stamp of approval that he liked me enough to sell this to me, I was able to get the page. And I've never had that before of purchasing. It was worth it. The guy was very nice, but I'll never forget that I actually had to get on the phone and get interviewed in order to, and pass the interview and get.
That's just crazy. But you know, it just shows you how special the artwork was to the guy. He didn't want to just sell it to anybody. Oh, looks like Steve.
Yeah, it was the guy loved Moon Knight. He loved Bill Sienkiewicz. He loved, you know, that Daredevil too. And yeah, it was super, super important to him. And I guess, you know, it was important enough for me to really put the effort into getting it. It's a great page. It really, really is something that I love looking at. It almost reminds me of like a Marvel Universe page where you've got, you know, I think it was used in Marvel Universe, where you've got all of his personas, you've got him standing front. Underneath it, the story continues, which is fine and great, but really that first top is the top of that is really a beautiful piece of history, in my opinion, from Moon Knight #1.
I can't disagree with you. I mean, I always loved Sienkiewicz on Moon Knight, but I always when I first got turned on to Sienkiewicz's work, it was from that Marvel preview issue with Moon Knight, and I had to like pull it out. I'm looking at it in a separate window just to remind myself of the cover, because I haven't looked at it in a long time. But I would kill for a piece of art from that Marvel preview book, just because that it was just all done in black and white on that crappy newsprint basically. But I loved it. I loved those old Marvel magazines. And Moon Knight, when I read that, I had never. When was that the first? I don't even know. The first Moon Knight was like in Werewolf by Night. Yeah, but so I had no history of Moon Knight. I just thought it was a cool cover, and to then see Bill's art and a character that I wasn't familiar with. I mean, it was just drawn so well. Women were sexy in it. I was like, geez, this is what this is what comics should be. You know, I mean, I don't even know when did that come out. I don't think
that had to be what we're looking at, 1980.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out here. Somebody in the chat, of course, will probably tell me before I can figure it out by looking at it myself here on my comic shop. But Marvel preview, where are you? Where's the publishing date? No, it says 75. That can't be right. I must be looking at the wrong stuff here. Anyway, bottom line is I would kill for a page from that book.
There's a great crossover story where he meets Hulk for the first time, but they don't really see each other as they go through it. So I can't remember how it actually worked, but there was a Moon Knight story and a Hulk story, and through the whole story, they kind of almost see each other, but I think Hulk punches Moon Knight out, and Moon Knight never actually gets to see Hulk. So, but it's a quite a fun story. No idea. Doug Monk might have written it, but I'm not sure.
I just was laughing. I saw Rick comment.
Bro says,
wait till you're the buyer who screened you about buying that piece sees the show thumbnail where you burned the bottom of it. You're gonna get a call. He's still got your phone number.
Oh, I live in fear of that too. It's just like all of a sudden I think I'm gonna have to sue to get that back. Right. just like a child.
All right, and everybody has told me it's 1980. That sounds more right. I don't know why I'm on Marvel. I'm on the My Comic Shop site, and it literally. Oh, it's probably saying it's a 1975 magazine. It's not.
Oh yeah, first issue.
Yeah, it's not giving me the. Oh, you're right. It actually says published May 1980. There you go. Now not an easy site for me to figure out clearly, but yeah, I mean, but those, like we were talking about, early 80s. I mean, that's when. I mean, I that's why the books that you're interested in and the art that you're collecting. That's why I love your collection, because it's all in that same area time period that I'm looking forward to.
It was either stuff that I was getting at the time or something that my dad could buy 5 for $1 at a flea market. And it was all he just knew to always get Marvel books. I read some DC, but I would say 80% was Marvel.
Yeah, I never got into DC. as much as unless a Marvel artist moved over there and was doing some work. John Byrne on Superman. All right, I'll buy those. Other than the Teen Titans and Crisis, I really never bought. Well, okay, Giffen Legion turned me on too, but those were like the only things that I was really like.
I love Keith Giffen. I don't know why that man doesn't. People like his artwork isn't more sought out, but man, do I love almost anything Keith Giffen does.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he's on my list. I've never owned anything by him either. But I think I can find something by him at least, unlike Ditko.
He stopped selling his art. If you see something, get it.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's holding on to his art right now. There was something Spencer Beck had on his site because he used to rep. And I emailed Spencer, and Spencer was like, yeah, it's all on the site, but you can't buy it anymore because the family is holding on to it or something like that. So there you go. If you want some of his artwork.
Yeah. Well, and on Spencer's side, it takes him too long to take everything off. So he's just going to leave it on there. It's probably still up there. All right. Well, this next page is, I know you bought it.
That Commodore 64 he used, you got to go rework everything through the Commodore 64.
Star background that he still has to this day, twinkling stars and everything it gets me every time I go over there. I'm like, man, just at least change the background, do something a little different. But it does highlight the colorful text over that black background. So I know.
Well, we know Spencer's not going to be watching this, so we're
no. He's got his own live stream things he does. He doesn't pay any attention to me. But hey, this next page I know you got because it made you laugh. Because when I saw it, it made me laugh too. And I don't remember ever seeing it in your CAF collection, so it was a new experience for me to see this page.
Oh,
I had to highlight that car, man. That's like something out of a 70s Saturday cartoon or something.
Isn't it ridiculous?
It doesn't. Yes. What were they thinking?
It's just like I saw it on CAF for a while, and then somebody was actually selling this one. I did not cry to get it. I did not have to give blood or anything, and they were selling it. And the second that it was for sale, I was like, I'll take it 100%. And has characters I love in it. White Tiger and Black Goliath, and they're all driving, and I want to say Hellcat's car, the Hellcat mobile. For whatever reason, they tried to give her a car for a second, and they decided to all pack in there and go fight these, which is D-list villains. Rich used to own everything. And it's just, yet again, here we go. We've got Sal Buscema, inked by Jim Mooney. So there's something that brings me back to this. And I just love the silliness of it. It's probably not worth a whole ton of money, maybe now because everything is, but I bought it because it's got them all driving in a car together, period. And that's no better reason than that.
I mean, I expect the car to start talking at any moment. It's just, oh gosh. I mean, I don't understand how they all can fit in that car.
Well, yeah. Okay. David Kraft was writing this, and I really liked his writing too in Defenders. He just did some really goofy stuff. He did the Scorpio storyline and probably some of the more memorable stuff. But I think he just didn't care. Like, he cared, but he wanted to have fun with these characters. And he wrote these things, and he's like, put them all in a car together. Sal, draw that. All right, make them jump out here. And I wonder at the time, was this thought of as silly, or was this just part of the job, or whatever it was? But man, out of everything I could, this was one of those pages I saw, I didn't even hesitate. It was just like, the guy probably could have charged me 3 times as much, and I would want this page.
Well, it's just crazy, and Rich mentioned it too. It's just like, I don't understand how. I don't even know where's Black Goliath. What is he sitting on? There's no seat back there. He's there. I mean, he could probably run faster than that car if he wanted. Yeah, you got Havoc. I mean, you had Iron Fist in there. My gosh.
What is it? Is that Ultraman? I can't remember what his name is. The guy flying out of the top and the back.
I was just trying to think of that too. I can't remember. But yeah, oh, all that and Captain Ultra. There you go.
Captain Ultra. I was close. And then you've got the Beetle and Porcupine and Blob. It's just a really fun page to own. And that's what attracts me to the Bronze Age Marvel stuff more than anything else is a lot of times the silliness of it.
Yeah, Hart says they thought of this idea because they were all sauced. It may have been at that point in time. I mean,
I'm not sure it was alcohol at that time.
It may not have been.
No,
right? I mean, what year was this? I wonder. But yeah, this is great though. I mean, I laughed out loud. I literally laughed out loud when I saw this. So yeah, and that's a page I'd love to have too, just because it's absolutely silly. There's no rhyme or reason for it editorially.
And when collecting artwork, I don't need, something outstanding to love it. I want, to be honest, the reason I collect artwork is the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get, I don't want to get too serious about it. It'll take the fun out of it. I want, it's more of, and a lot of the front collectors that I'm friends with or whatever else, we don't all take it too seriously either. It's something that we collect, we have fun with. We can make fun of each other about. We can make fun of the pages. I don't know. It's sometimes I think money ruins everything, and it has a little bit for the comic art too. But I would say the people commenting on this has not ruined it for them because they are being really funny.
That's true. That is true. I know, and it's as a hobby, this can kind of burn you out sometimes. I've known several collectors who, kind of found their way out of the hobby after a while. And strangely enough, when I was at MegaCon, I ran into Tim Townsend, who was actually at Sequential's booth. And so I was talking with him. I'm like, I don't really see you talk about comic art too much anymore. He was such a big,
to be everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I reminded him of all the times he would brag on the Comic Art L about how he would get a seller to end an auction early on eBay, with an offer, and he'd pick up some great John Byrne Alpha Flight pinup, or God only knows what else that he'd be showing off. But it would always be like that, we were laughing. I mean, I was like, because he was like, I idolized him as a collector because he was an artist and he was a guy who was super savvy and how to get art that he really wanted. But he actually told me that he's like pretty much, he's gotten out of the hobby the last couple of years. He's just not as interested anymore. Not because of COVID. It was even before that, where he just said, I just started selling. I mean, I just wasn't as interested in keeping up with collecting. And I just moved on to other things, and I was like, wow, well, I guess that's cool. Cause I couldn't imagine it, because he was so passionate about, the hobby and collecting, and he'd always show off like great, like, Bocello, right? Ruben, Bocello's pencils and inks with him, and he's the perfect Chris Bocello inker for sure. Yeah, without question. Yeah. But yeah, so it was kind of sad to see, a guy like that who I know. He even told me, he's like, I got a Byrne cover over here if you want to see it. And I'm like, if you're interested in buying it, I'm like, no. I didn't even look. I'm
the same. That's a lot of times I'm the same. But like, hey, a buddy will be like, "Did you see this on Heritage?" I go, "I ain't looking at Heritage."
Right.
But why? Because I don't want to see something I want on Heritage. That's why I'm not looking.
Exactly. Ruben told me well done on my pronunciation, because I used to always call him Bocello, or Bacallo. I can't even remember what I used to call him. But Ruben corrects me on all my grammar, which I need. Being from the Midwest, I'm terrible. I don't know how anybody does a good job on some of these names. But anyways, again, with Townsend though, it was almost kind of sad to hear him tell me that he wasn't interested in collecting anymore.
Is he working still though, or is he?
Maybe not as much. I know he is still inking. Yeah, but
okay, but he's a damn good inker.
I know, but he's a happy father, happily married, and but he's down in Florida. So I told him I would definitely look him up once I'm down here permanently. So I think it'd be cool to shoot the shit with him a little bit more, because again, he was somebody early on who I was like, damn, this guy knows what he's doing. You know, he had a really great collection.
Super friendly too. Never like that, approachable. He was definitely a collector you could ask questions to, and
Mm-hmm.
be happy to answer. And yeah, nice guy.
Yeah. One of the first panels I saw in San Diego, or I think the first one I went to, was organized by Brian Peck, and who was on the panel? Tim Townsend, and he was probably one of the more vocal guys there. Scott Williams was on the panel, a couple collectors, I think. Who else was there? Michael Lovitz, and but anyway, I always remember Tim though, because he was just happy, positive, and about everything. So at any rate, let's look at some more artwork.
All right.
A few more pieces here. Where are we at? Oh, here we go. A little bit of Dazzler action. I actually picked up a Springer Dazzler page recently, but this page is really, really nice.
This one is only up here because Steve Crozier wants it. And he used to own this, and he traded it to me, and he has huge regret about it. So let's just stare at this for a little bit.
Yeah.
And know that I own it and he doesn't.
Did you get a lot of comments on this when you posted it to CAF?
I think I got a decent amount on it. Like I said, the phone's in the other room, so I don't keep looking at it. Or I could review it. I see how you're doing. You're not actually on the website. You're just got the screenshots of it.
Yeah,
but,
I make graphics.
Talking about the artwork again, this one reminds me a ton of the Power Man and Iron Fist page. Steve, can I click this like that? And
you can, but no one will know, Steve. On YouTube, they hide the thumbs downs anymore. So I can see how many people do it in the admin, but they don't show them publicly anymore. So click away. No one will
know. This is another one that I love, when the space in the background, when there's like a space scene and with all the stars. And Danny Belandi, Ruben, is that right? Belandi, is that how you pronounce his last name? Inking it very similar to Villamonte. And he's just one of those inkers that will take somebody like Frank Springer and make him look like somebody else. Like that's, maybe he's overpowering Springer's pencils, but I don't care. He just takes this page and Boolin Andy just takes this page and makes it his own. And to be honest with you, I think this whole issue is one of the best Dazzler issues art-wise that is out there.
I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, everything, every panel is fantastic. I mean, it really is. It was so well done. And you're right. I mean, Marvel pages from this era always needed at least one star scene in some way or other. But
I'm a sucker for it. It just that would be the only reason I would get a Dick Dillon Justice League page, because he did it all the time. All of his Justice League pages, there's a ton of them that look like that they're all in space, and they're wonderful. It's the same thing as this is. And and then let's go back to now. You've got a C-list character like Dazzler fighting Nightmare for that's crazy. Why would that even happen? But here we are, and that makes it even more fun.
Yeah, but no. That was what Dazzler was, a fun book just for that reason. I mean, she was fighting, then she fight the Absorbing Man. I mean, the Hulk. I mean, all these characters that just
Galactus
just didn't make sense. But
no, they really want it. And she didn't even want to be a superhero as you read through it either. She's just randomly running into these major, huge Marvel villains constantly, and Marvel heroes, and but really just wanted to sing. That's all she wanted to do, Bill. That's all she wanted to do.
Just wanted to sing. Gosh. Dr. Doom as well. Yeah, that's true. All that, man. She had it just made no sense, but that's all right. Comics were an escape for us. They didn't have to make sense. Okay, and here we go with the Ditko.
This
And a Machine Man, no less, man. This is good.
This is the way I got this page. Somebody listed it on eBay. I think it was Metropolis Comics had it on eBay. They must have been selling it for somebody, and it was on eBay. And I got super, super excited because I think I've seen one other Machine Man page ever, and it's not even a great one that Ditko has done on CAF. So this one was outstanding to me, and so I was really, and then it just disappeared. And so I'm emailing Metropolis Comics through eBay. Then I get no answer, and then I'm messengering them through their website, no answer. And then I'm on Comic Art L and other pages saying, hey, if anybody, I want to put in a huge offer for this, what happened to it, or whatever else. Then suddenly Metropolis Comics gets a hold of me. So I'm guessing that whoever was selling this page saw it and told Metropolis to get back a hold of me. And I gave the offer for it, and they accepted the offer, and I've owned it ever since. And I love Machine Man, like one of my favorite Marvel characters, definitely in my top 5 favorite Marvel characters. I own a ton of pages by him. His pedigree is awesome if you think about it. It's a Jack Kirby creation. His issues were done by, the first half were done by Kirby, then you went to Steve Ditko, and then then you go into Windsor Smith doing Machine Man issues. So like the amount of artists working on Machine Man, at least the first 3 is like I said, an amazing pedigree. And if you look at this page, it just even still has there's some amazing Spider-Man similarities to it. The way the panels are drawn and the way Ditko inked it and everything else. It's just a great page, and I'm really, really happy to own it.
Well, I mean, I don't blame you. Like I said, I've been looking forever, and this is Ditko pencils and inks.
As far as I know, yeah, it is. I think I looked it up a long time when I posted it. So yeah, he was doing everything with it.
One thing I didn't do, Steve, was link to your CAF gallery here. I'm going to put that in the chat and then make sure that I get it written into the show description. So let me go ahead and share that now. Everybody should be checking out Steve's CAF gallery after the show, during the show, whatever you want, so that you can add a few likes and a few comments on those pieces to kind of validate the purchases he's making.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money on this one, so I need a few more comments, please. Yeah, this is upstairs in my hallway. I do have a Kirby Machine Man page, a Windsor Smith one, and right next to this one's the Ditko. So there's a little wall in my hallway that has all 3 of these pages together.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, that is so cool, Steve. I mean, yeah, I want to see a picture of those 4 artworks in the hall now.
All right, I'll send it to you.
I love that. We've always talked about doing like a CAF cribs kind of thing. How people present their artworks, in their homes and stuff. That's just so cool. I never would have thought. I mean, Machine Man's a kind of offbeat character, right? And to me, it's almost like you might be more interested in one of those different versions. You like the Kirby version, or the Ditko, or the Barry Windsor Smith type of thing, and that would be your thing. But you run the gamut. You like them all because you like the character. And then you had to have a example from everybody who's of importance who's touched that character. That's awesome.
Yeah, he doesn't appear too often anymore, and I don't even know if I'm like looking for as much stuff with him in it. I did recently get a Marvel team up page through Heritage with him on it, but that right now I'm not even remembering who drew that issue. But yeah, I'm happy to have those three like really, really great artists that tackled that character, and I don't think a lot of people think about that.
No, well, that miniseries that Barry Windsor Smith did was it was always one of my favorites.
As a kid too.
Yeah, those 4 covers with the machinery coming together to make them. I mean, what a cool concept for Marvel too. I mean, you were dying to see the next issue. With how
you were just dying to see the covers, because the covers were like they were building Machine Man through the covers of it too. It was really cool.
Ruben's complaining that people are dropping out of the chat. Who knows, man? Maybe there's a basketball game going on or something like that. Everybody'd rather tune in.
Well, as soon as you bring up Machine Man,
right,
people are just run right out the door.
Exactly. He is like, yeah, that is true. Many people are just turned off by that character. Rick Welch says Machine Man battling Iron Man was awesome. Barry Windsor Smith, definitely. See, and some of those pages, you've seen a few of those pages on the market, and you were talking earlier about how some pages change hands, and you kind of lose. You start, she's been handed off too many times. You can't buy one. But you think about that book, and even a page that I've seen maybe on the market 2 or 3 times in the last 5 years, I'd still want to own that page, only because I'd probably get it, and I know that I'd keep it for 20 years, right? And I wouldn't care that it's almost So remember, we were just talking about that earlier, where sometimes you get turned off by seeing a piece change hands. A lot of times, when you look at rarity and from a series like that really has a lot of nostalgia for you. I mean, to me, I probably wouldn't care. I'd be happy to just pick up anything from that book.
The way I got my Windsor Smith page is I emailed Barry Windsor Smith and said, hey, do you have any Machine Man pages? And he put me in contact with Linda Fight, who was married to Herb Trimpe, and she had a handful of Machine Man pages and sold me one. So that was a little detective work on my end, but really nice woman too. So, and Linda wrote The Cat for a while also.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Rich Cirillo said it's a good thing he didn't show any speedball art, or all the viewers many of the viewers would leave. What are you going to do? And what are we going to look at next? Okay. Here, this is.
Well, there's a story behind this one. I don't even own this anymore.
I was going to ask you, because when I went to download this image or on your site, I thought it was in a gone but not forgotten folder.
Well,
and I was
first off, okay, so now I'm going to mention Steve one last time, and everybody, that's why probably people are dropping out. So I sold this page to him, and one of the things that annoyed me and him and some of the other people that I know on CAF is the gone but not forgotten folder. When you sell something and then you don't delete it. So that's just my own personal opinion. I'm not that upset about it, but to me, it's just like you sell it, you get rid of it. So I created my one piece of artwork that is my gone but not forgotten, is the one I sold to Steve. And this one has 80 some comments on it, all from Steve.
That's why you kept it.
Yeah, and that's why I thought it'd be fun to talk about, because if you could look at our history of some of the conversations we've had, or even some of my Facebook posts, and those are all the comments that he puts on that throughout the years.
I'm looking at it now. I'm like, my goodness, you're right.
And there's a lot of non sequiturs and a lot of goofy stuff, and he's making fun of people, and he's blowing off steam. But it's kind of a special page or a special CAF post for me, because it's a lot of fun that we have this thing on CAF together that is something that we can both laugh at.
Right. Well, how could you delete this after this long narrative between?
Well, he was annoyed that I wouldn't delete it at first, because I was just going to be a dick about it and not do it. And then we started having more fun. And Steve says, check the last comment.
Comic Art Live rules. He posted at 5:20.
So we both love. I mean, we could talk. It's not my page anymore; it's his. But we could talk about we both. Robbins is one of those people that I didn't like at all, and then the older I get, the more I like him. And I think he's just a taste that really, after a while, really develops. So. That's what I have to say about Robbins. I do have a really cool Captain America Stiltman page from him that I like a lot, that maybe I should have tagged with it, but there was a reason I put the Human Fly on that one. It's kind of more of a fun story. Yep, that's White Tiger.
Yeah, no, it's a very fun page. It really is. And it sounds like Crow wore you down a little bit, and then so you just ended up having to sell it to him. I mean, is that what it was?
Well, I knew he wanted it, and at the time I wanted to buy something else, and so I sold it to him. It was one of those things.
Yep. Well, at least you kept it. You know where it is now.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to interview him to make sure he was going to be.
Nobody draws disconnected legs like Robin's.
That one leg does look a little misshapen a bit. The one on the panel that I'm zoomed in on, his left leg, but that doesn't matter. It's cool. It still looks badass in its own way. I like that last panel though, with all the, Jennifer, look out, Danny, hold me.
Robbins drew hippies well too. So
he did.
Yeah, he was really good at drawing hippies. So that bottom panel is pure Robbins hippie drawings.
Wow, this is really cool. And so I approve this gone but not forgotten piece of artwork on CAF. Because, I mean, technically, but if you follow the rules of CAF, nobody's supposed to have a piece of sold artwork in their CAF gallery. And I've just never been a good policeman of that, because the rule was always you're only allowed to show artwork you own, right? And,
right.
And I just was never good at it. I tried early on, and people would be like, well, what's the harm? I mean, and early on, there wasn't any, right? But over time, when people would, buy a piece of art from another collector and put it in their CAF, and then it's still in the other guys in a gone but not forgotten.
There's some pages up there 4 times.
Right. And I've had to go back, and I mean, I've literally had to threaten people, because when I get asked by the current owner to get somebody to remove something, I always say, did you ask him already? And, because I'm just hoping that they'll say no, and I'll be like, well, try it first. But
right,
in almost every case,
people like.
Yes, in most cases though, they've already tried and then don't get a reply. And I had a guy really offended a couple months ago where he was like, well, what harm is it doing? I'm like, well, it's on there twice. So when somebody searches the site for that title and artist or whatnot, it's coming up twice in the search results. And yours has more comments on it. So people are like looking at yours and not his, and he owns it. So yeah, it's got to go. Don't make me delete it. I don't want to do that. Can you just do it yourself? Just turn it off and so it's not active anymore. So people are really touchy about that.
Well, it's good to know that we're not the only one. I mean, like I said, it's not a battle worth fighting, but it's just like, you sit there and what the worst is, you're looking for something and you're like, oh, this guy, oh no, he doesn't own it. He just has it in his sold folder.
In a sense, as if your gone but not forgotten folder is bigger than your collection. Just admit you're a dealer, not a collector.
Yep.
Yeah, there are some dealers out there that have more gone but not forgotten pieces on their websites these days. But yeah, that's the main thing. I mean, it's just tough. I think if I ever had somebody who could be like the muscle around here, then I would be a little bit more strict about it. But I've always just kind of turned the other cheek unless I get asked.
Larry will do it. I'll tell you right now, Larry would probably be.
Yeah, no, Larry would be good at it. And I've had a few people volunteer, and then I'm just like, well, darn it. I mean, it's tough. I mean, I just don't like ruffling feathers at the end of the day. I want everybody to be happy and getting along on CAF. So the only people I take more offense at it when a person's not premium and they have a gone but not forgotten folder.
Yeah.
Got 500 images in it. I'm like, you're already freeloading, which I don't mind. It's part of the site.
Yeah, it's part of the deal. It's part of your deal.
But then you keep 500 images in a sold folder over 20 years, and so now I've been paying to host that for you for the last 20 years. You've never been premium, and that's the only times where I get a little bit miffed about it. But by and large, if it's a premium member, I'll look the other way. I'm like, you know what, you're supporting me. The only time I'd interrupt you is if somebody else told me I had to. Sick the wife on him, says Brett. Yeah, Maureen would be really good at it. So would my daughter. They have no problem busting chops, and yeah.
Well, when you're a little more detached from things, sometimes it's easier to elbow in a bit.
Exactly. I got to be everybody's friend. I think I've done fairly well at that for the most part. Let's see here. I know we've got well, actually, what do we got? we've got something special here for the last piece of artwork. I didn't grab them all, and I've kind of put them together in kind of a six images on a slide here. So why don't we take a look at this and tell us all about this?
Okay, those were done by Katie Cook. So 10 years ago, when my wife and I were getting married, I had an idea of having Katie do these little tiny sketch cards for the tables. So each table, for a wedding, each table is numbered. And I thought, well, Katie could, she does these little cards that for $5 at the cons. I'll give her 10 per card and let her do these little tiny sketches. So if you've seen them, they're very simple. They're like 5-minute sketches, and they're not too crazy or anything else. And I thought it'd be great. And so I asked Katie to do it, and I met her at a couple cons, and she was real nice. And she said, no problem, we'll take care of it. And what came back were these full-blown, complete drawings that we picked out different characters that we liked in different shows. My wife really liked Buffy, and I really different relationships and everything else. And she just killed it and did these full-blown, wonderful watercolor drawings, and they were $10 a piece, if you can believe that. I was blown away. So we used them I was working. I work at a lot of printing places. And at the time, I was working at a place called American Dental Association's printing plant. And instead of I was afraid they would leave all these things. People would start taking them. So I made really nice copies of all of them and put the copies on the table so that the original art wouldn't walk away. So that's the story behind all this. This is just a really nice thing Katie did for us, and part of my life with my wife. And I think it's just a really she really did a fantastic job. There is I thought there was a Machine Man and Jocasta one. I just don't think Bill grabbed that.
Yeah, I think that was on the last page, and there were only 2, and I was like, well, I've got 6 here, 6. Yeah, I think I missed 2 of them. I apologize. I got 18. There you go. Machine Man and Jocasta right there in the lower right.
And the one, the Han Solo and Princess Leia, I think it has one of the most click views of any other. I was
just going to comment on that.
9,264 views. So it must be linked to something out there.
Yeah, well, it's a relationship people like. Because then what's the next highest one is the Scully and Mulder one is number 2, I think, out of all the views. And everybody wanted them to get together too. So
well, what I'm thinking is somebody has it on, I don't know, let's say maybe Instagram or something like that, where you can click a link and look at it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just where it just boosts up to the 9,000 views. Maybe not. I could be wrong, but that's what my guess is. But yeah, it's some of people really, when I posted these, people really dug them, and I do too.
Well, I actually own probably a dozen of Katie's, little sketch card size pieces too. Like you said, they were always like $5 or $10, and she'd have them just all spread out in front of her at her show. She could knock them out, but they're so cute, right? And they're just so well done. And she's so happy. She's like one of the happiest people you ever meet at a show, right?
She could just sit there and you could name it. And she would just draw these very clever about them and put little jokes, even with these tiny little drawings that she was doing them. But when, like I said, I thought I was going to get one of the quick sketches, which I would have been thrilled with. But when they came back, I was like, these are awesome. So I thought they were a little bit more interesting to talk about than all the, the other pages are great. But this, I thought.
Oh man, we got the webcams in here tonight, man. What is it about all that? Here, I got to block them. Naked, hot, fun, something or others. Naked HD fun webcam.
Oh, I invited them.
Girls, boys, gay, trans, 18 plus.
Those are my friends.
You invited them.
I invited them. Be nice to them.
Oh man. Well, this has been the problem with the more popular our channel gets, the more we get hit with these spam bots. I was fortunate the whole weekend. I think we only had one panel where they came in. So yeah, well, what are you going to do? Webcams are back.
Yes, webcams are back. I'm only here for the webcams.
As long as it's 18 plus. I mean, come on, that's at least it's legal. Yeah, check Steve's computer history. Yes, Michael, that is a sign of success when you get the webcams on your chats. Man, you should see in the comments after the shows that's where it's the biggest pain in the butt. You would think a platform like YouTube, they could actually figure out how to filter those people out, but literally every night I get about a dozen or 15 of those similar things posted in the comments. And it's sometimes even by the same account. You'd think that there's got to be a way that they can filter these people out. Of all the platforms on the planet, I have never seen so much spam than on YouTube. I mean, I don't see it anywhere else. You could look at the comments on like Yahoo News stuff, right? I mean, where crazy stuff should happen, but I don't see spam there. YouTube, it's a Google thing, and there is so much spam on this platform. It's insane, and they don't catch it. Sometimes they will, but mostly I have to keep going in there and report it as a sexually explicit comment, just to, wow, a sick Modok on him, says Robert. If only I could. So yeah, somebody misread Modok. All right. Yeah. They only filter your real content, says CJ. That's probably true, CJ. So I think that was the last artworks you gave me. It was, but again, I love Katie to death. I mean, she's really. I mean, I tried getting her on a panel a couple of comic art lives ago, and she was scheduled right up until like the last day, and then she had to back out. I should probably reach out to her and see if I can get her in on the November show. She's just fun. I mean, like you said, she is so witty. I mean, like you could just tell her, I want to, I want a Silver Surfer, and she'll draw something funky with a broken heart, on it or something, and you're just like, she nails it every time. Yeah, and I'm sure it's because she's done it, but it's like she's got a lexicon of concepts for pretty much any character out there. She draws the best little Ninja Turtles. I think I've got a Ninja Turtle with a little mouse riding on it. I mean, she's just so clever.
And she makes sure that anybody that goes to a con can walk away with an original piece of art.
That's really
I think they're $10 now. They used to be $5, but I think they're 10. But still, you can, and not just a piece of art, but something that you could walk away and be really thrilled you own.
Mm-hmm. All right, and she always has a line too. And again, we need people. We need creators like that can actually get art into people's hands and make them think about whether or not they would want to go, down Artist Alley, another road to see another creator. Because I've seen her at New York, and they usually put her on an end cap because her, she'll always have a line, and it usually has to wrap around the end cap because people like to spend time at her table going through that spread of cards that she has out, or just talking to her because she's so nice. But yeah, no, it's very, very true. I mean, it's people need a way to break into the hobby that doesn't break the bank at the same time. And Katie's definitely a good place to start. Hart's telling Ruben that he should start his own hot art webcam channel. Oh man. Well, Steve, we've actually reached the 2-hour mark, if you can believe that.
I had a good time.
I did too, man. I'm we've got I don't know if I can, when I'll be able to make it out to Chicago again, but too bad you're not going to Heroes. We're having a big get together at the Heroes show in June.
I'm not going to be able to make that one. Maybe next year.
All right. I think that's going to become like a regular thing for us here on the channel and CAF and everything. I've always liked that show, and Shelton's is a really good guy. He's put on a great show. I mean, it's 40 years going this long, and his show still feels small, and even though it's pretty big, but man, the artist list this year is just crazy. I think it's like the first really major show where the artists are comfortable to get back out, after the pandemic, and it's going to be pretty cool. Be really, really nice. But we got to get together sometime.
I would love to. And same goes. We do the same thing as when you met me. Well, not for a couple of years. Is the Chicago guys all go out to that Club Lago, and that's like where all the comic art collectors and some of the artists and everybody hangs out. But now you got me an excuse to come out there and I know a good handful of these guys, and they're a lot of fun.
Hey, when is C2E2? Is that's still in the winter time, right? Is it like
It was
January,
they moved it. I think they moved it to back to August now, but it's been in flux.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll have to check that out.
And then Wizard World is now Fan Expo or something.
Yeah, Fan Expo bought them.
And I want to say that's second week of July.
All right, I'm going to take a look. I wouldn't mind getting back to Chicago. I have not been to any shows there probably in at least a dozen years. So I'll put that on my list. I'll check and see when those are. I was happy to find out that MegaCon is not going to be on my weekend next year. They moved it to end of March, beginning of April. So now I'm back to having no competition for people at the Comic Art Live in 2023. So that made me very, very happy. And then I can go and do a panel there again without having to worry about.
I gotta tell you, you might think you have competition. I'll tell you right now, people would like, as far as me collecting art, I'm probably gonna be happier looking for stuff on Comic Art Live than I would at shows. And that's my.
I like to hear that. Well, we got to work out ways to get more creators involved with the show. That's really, I think, kind of like the next area I want to focus on. Our artist alley should be bigger. I mean, Adam and Allison had a pretty darn good weekend. I haven't seen sales like that for somebody setting up on Comic Art Live like that in a long time. I mean, it was high. It was a really, really high number. So we just need to get the word out.
That guy knocks it out, though, man.
I know.
He's so good. He's so good. There's no comparison. That guy is what he does. He's the top of it. So. Yeah,
I know. I got to talk with them in a panel. It was just fun, but it's too bad he's not doing as much comic art right now. But yeah. So anyways, that's kind of where I want to. That's one of the areas where we need to improve on is actually having an artist alley and being able to, and then having that creator also be in a panel and do it like a real con, right? I mean, try to leverage that. Because when I was at MegaCon, it was fun. I had Bill Morrison on a panel with me, and then he was doing some sketch duel with Alex Saviuk right after that, and it was fun. I'm like, and there was a whole bunch of people that came in. More people came in to see that than they came to see Bill and I talking about collecting original comic art. And I thought, like, that's the kind of stuff people want to see, right? They want to see some fun stuff, and I think the other reason being was they were passing out tickets. It's because I guess they raffle off the art for free. I'm assuming they give it away after it's over. So they gave out tickets.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you get a couple artists up there doing a duel and everybody watching you're going to have
an opportunity to win some art. Hey, it's going to be well attended. Yeah. All right. But that's the things I want to do, though. I want it to start, I want the show to feel more in person, as close as we can get, because panels are fun and everything, but I think having that extra stuff going on interaction wise will make it even a better experience. And like you said, the thing is, somebody could have been at MegaCon and just been browsing through the show on their phone. I mean, it wouldn't have been the best experience, but that's the cool thing about Comic Art Live is you could actually be at another show and be looking at stuff during an art drop or whatever during Comic Art Live. So,
or if you got a couple artists you're looking for, it only takes a couple seconds to see if there's anything up, right away.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So, well, listen, I'm reading through it here, see if we missed any other things here in the chat for us. Hart says I need to put a Modok poster up on the wall. I got to get anything on the wall at this point, guys.
No skulls.
No skulls. All right. It was fun. We were throwing stuff. I was throwing stuff out when we were packing, and I actually had a couple skull things. Like I had actually carved out of balsa wood when I was in college, and I had them in a box. And Maureen's going through my stuff, and I'm like, I guess I'll throw those out. So, getting rid of anything that's a skull just can't make its way up there. But yeah, Rich Cirillo says, Bill, you just need to draw during your panels. Something's got to happen.
Did Steve shave and get a haircut for this? Yes, I did. Yeah, and I did it for you. Castor, I see you changed your icon in the middle of the show too. So that was nice of you to switch that up a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was just like changing clothes for you.
Steve is remarkably lifelike, says Drake. Oh, gosh. Well, hey, Castor, we got to get in touch. I'd love to have you on here sometime too, man. Tome actually came up in my conversation yesterday with Jason Sean Alexander. He showed off a piece of art from Tome, believe it or not. And I was like, I remember that book, and I remember the guy that had a lot to do with that. So because just says he's happy that you still have a little bit of hair left.
Just in the front. Not that's a good thing we're not showing the back. I'm not turning around.
No rotoscope.
I haven't seen Castor in a very long time, so.
Neither have I. I think the last time I saw him was at a New York Comic-Con, probably 10 years ago. So yeah, well, we should see. Maybe he might have less hair than both of us. Never know. But all right, man. Listen, 2 hours in, this has been awesome. I mean, it's been a lot of fun, man. But I'm going to look into seeing which Chicago shows I might be able to go to. I mean, I might not be able to.
And I'll do the same, and definitely if that works out, I'll see you, and then we'll hook a dinner up.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I would love to go back to Club Lago. I mean, that was fun. Hey, and Coster said we could do it, and he'll get a haircut too.
Well, that would be nice. All right. Thanks for everybody that was watching.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. And I linked Steve's CAF Gallery in the chat. I'll put it in the description. But head over to his CAF Gallery and comment on some of his new pieces. And if you see anything with only 2 comments on it, make sure you add a couple extra. It validates his purchases and makes him feel better. And at the end of the day, we want all collectors on CAF to feel good about their collections and feel like that they're spending money well and getting their money's worth out of that artwork. Remember,
but the link is webcam hot boys. Just click that one and it'll go right to where you
18 need to go. Plus. All right, man. Good night, everybody.